uplifting spirits, and just to let you know, there was a vote in foundation class, because I feel like I need to say this, on Kumbaya, and they won. They voted for it, so it's part of David's repertoire, I guess. Okay, so this month, this very month of November that we're in already, we are preparing for Thanksgiving. So by preparing for this Thanksgiving holiday, we're deeping into the consciousness of plenty. And so the name of today's talk is the Sea of Plenty. And so what is that? That Sea of Plenty is through expanded awareness, up-leveled thinking, and an attitude of gratitude. Each week, we're going to come together and we'll have different opportunities to praise the plenty that is currently in our lives. Sometimes we forget, but there's plenty in our lives, always something for us to be grateful for. And as we step into that gratitude, we become a magnet for greater and even greater good in our lives. Don't you agree?
Yes.
If it sounds good to you, then you're in the right place.
Yes.
For the whole month of November. So today's talk, as I said, is a sea of plenty, and we really do live in a sea of plenty. We really do. We really, really do. But sometimes we're like the fish in the ocean, swimming around asking, where's the water? Really, right? We are immersed in this nature of good, this nature of abundance, or as Ernest Holmes wrote in his Science of Mind textbook, in the midst of plenty, humanity lives in want. We're in the midst of plenty. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like that. But that's when we realign ourselves. That's when we allow ourselves to get centered in the knowing that all is God. And if all is God, all is good. As Carol's prayer so passionately for me inspires. So passionately. So in a more of a matter-of-fact kind of way, I'm going to quote Eric Butterworth. In his great book, Spiritual Economics, one of our favorites, he wrote, "Many people go through life holding a tin cup under the Niagara of God's plenty. It is small fry expectancy that usually manifests as a string-saving, make-do, can't afford it level of consciousness. It is marginal living at best," he says. "It is what we might call in tune with the indefinite." Well, okay then. I, myself, prefer to be in tune with the infinite, with the all-giving nature of the divine, not the indefinite, in the infinite. That's what we're going to deepen into. So the infinite source and supply of all that is the infinite good of the flow of the divine. The infinite substance back in and through all things. The infinite horn of plenty. Don't you love that? The infinite horn of plenty that is ever available and ready to pour its bounty in and through us into expression. But we must open our eyes. And it really does serve us to deepen, and this is for me too, to deepen into our belief that there truly is a presence of abundance, that we are like the fish in the sea. The substance is all around us, waiting for us to just get out of our own way. So Jack and Cornelia Addington wrote in their book, Your Needs Met. I'm going to quote them. "We draw our experience out of the infinite. There is no great or small as far as God is concerned. There is only the fullness thereof. If we can accept our good, God is willing. In the infinite mind, there is enough to share and to spare. Plenty of ideas, plenty of, what do I have there? Plenty of customers." Well, if you're in business, yeah, if you're in business and you have a shop, there's plenty of customers. There's plenty. And there's plenty of that thing that we call money. It's there. It moves in, around, and through our experience. How open are we? Are we there with the tin cup? Or are we there with a large vessel to soak up and to gather up our good? which is always flowing through. The only requirement is the depth of consciousness. So everything is consciousness. We know this. Everything is consciousness. All the sages have taught this forever. Nothing is withheld from us. This is a giving presence that we talk about. So today I want us to dive into this sea of plenty by creating a space of receptivity and openness. Receptivity and openness in our consciousness, which is our awareness, to be fully aware. That's what our consciousness is, to put us in tune with the infinite. We're always in tune, we just think we're not. So the thoughts will pull us out of it, but to go back to God is the source and supply of all my good, I trust. What new experience am I to have in this effect that I'm in at this moment? So we're going to do three things this morning. The first is this conversation around the concept of imperative, a concept imperative for the creating of a consciousness of receptivity. It's imperative. I like that word. Could be using this morning. Imperative. Then we're going to do an activity around this concept and anchoring it all together in a brief meditation to open us up to really be receptive to this divine supply flowing through our lives. So the first concept, imperative for creating this consciousness of receptivity, then, is exploring this concept. And I want to set a little stage for it. So a couple of months ago, I was on a conference call with some ministers across the country, and in fact, Joyful Gathering has taken part in an event in May, the first weekend in May, with Mark Anthony Lord, who's coming to Delaware, and we are going to be deepening into his meta model, which is a whole expanded way of living, of being in spiritual community, of being in life, in our personal life. And so this was such a powerful conversation that we had, this conference call, that if I were to say it in one sentence or two, what it was about is about creating a consciousness, a culture, if you will. We're creating a culture here and a structure of outrageous care and leadership development in this church in a way that might not have been experienced before. So one of the things that was said to all the ministers on that call that shifted me quite quickly was, if you as a leader, listen to this for yourself, as being in a family, if you as a leader want to bring the consciousness and culture of outrageous care to your center or your family, let's put it that way, then you must personally surrender into it. This consciousness of outrageous care will never take hold in your center or your family if you don't embody the idea first. You have to take care of you first, outrageously. So I've been thinking about that a lot in the last few months, and I committed to doing things that I was putting off, that I wasn't doing for myself on a monthly basis. And so I invite you to do that, and we're going to have an exercise at the end of this talk that I had just neglected or really, like I said, put off before. So I decided, no, I'm going to take care of me, okay? And that's for you. This is our selfish part, which means taking care of self. Selfish is a good word. Let's embody it. It's a really good word. It's taking care of self. So I made more time for my meditation. I made more time to take care of this physical vessel that I'm in. And so I made monthly appointments to see all of my chiropractor and my acupuncturist and my massage therapist every month. Because if you let it go, you don't make that appointment. So monthly, it's made. When I'm leaving, I'm making the appointment. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, what reserve do we have to give to others? So always we do self-care. If it's deepening and doing more prayer, if it's deepening meditation, whatever it is that uplifts you, that takes care of you, that helps build a reservoir within you on which you can draw, this is imperative. It truly isn't. You can't give away what you don't have. Remember that. So I started to read the book, The 28 Laws of Attraction. Stop Chasing Success and Let It Chase You by Thomas Leonard. I opened it up to the very, very first idea. And the first idea on which all the others were based was the concept that it is imperative for creating a consciousness of receptivity. There is one thing that we must do, and that is to become incredibly selfish first. So again, we're going to open up to, that's a good word, being selfish, taking care. How many times I've experienced some of my family members giving, and there's nothing left within them to draw upon. And the family keeps coming for more. And that person has not moved into a place of taking care of self. So without taking care of self, there's nothing to give away. That's where the illnesses and all the discord takes place within us. So, given all the many incredible things that go on in the spiritual center, I just make time to do things that are fun for me, that spiritually uplift me, so that I can be present more for this spiritual center, which is so incredible. I love it. And then I was reminded of a story of a congregant who called the church office one day and spoke to the administrator and wanted to speak to the minister. It's the story. The assistant said that the minister was taking the day off. Well, this person became extremely agitated and distraught that the minister was not there to take his phone call. So the next Sunday, he cornered the minister at Sunday service and scolded her for taking the day off, telling her that she needed to always be there, and saying the devil never takes a day off. And the minister replied, and if I don't either, I'll be just like him. So we need to take a day off and be okay with it. We need to take care of ourselves and enjoy it. Really enjoy it. So, in context, let's be clear, being selfish does not mean that we're going to be a jerk, all right? We're going to be mean to people. We're just only going to think about me in a way that's like in that connotation where it's narcissistic almost, where we compromise someone else for our own sake. That's not what we're talking about. It's a whole definition. It's giving self-care. It's taking care of oneself. It does mean filling up your soul. Isn't that great? Filling up your soul and taking care of the inside so that then you can express. Then you can express and give away more of that beautiful God self that's within you. This vessel, this vehicle is that which Spirit operates through. It's the incarnation of the divine that you are. Each and every one, mind, body, spirit, and emotions. In the 28 Laws of Attraction, Leonard wrote, selfishness is the first step. It is not a lifelong ambition. There is no real point in becoming the most selfish person in the world. It's not a goal. However, becoming selfish, he writes, can get you started on a great path to having all that you need and then building a matching reserve. Reserves are a key to becoming irresistibly attractive to the flow of good. You want to be irresistibly attracted to the flow of good? I do.
Yeah.
And supports a no string attached generosity. So in fact, selfishness as we are defining it today ultimately allows us to be more generous and to be more supportive to others. This is the kind of selfishness we're talking about. than maybe you've ever been before, because you have something to pull it from. You have something to pull it from. So a few things to be aware of around this topic is creativity, excellence, and evolution require selfishness. I feel like saying that again. Creativity, excellence, and evolution require selfishness. When you know you're onto something, a potential breakthrough of any kind, you know when you get to that step, it might not be comfortable, but it's going to be a breakthrough. You know something's coming. You need to have the purest kind of focus and concentration possible. You need to answer the calls of your heart and mind before you answer the call or the callings of others. It's putting that, when you get pulled from your heart into a greater expression, do you have the reserve to step into it, or are you too busy giving and giving it all away and you're not receiving? We talked about that last month. You versus your roles. You are distinct from your roles. Selfishness often requires restructuring. Restructuring our lives and releasing some of the roles that we might have put on ourselves that can be let go, so that there's room for us to grow. There's no room to grow, we stay stagnant. Learn to say no without giving a reason. By the way, it's much easier to turn a no into a yes than it is to turn a yes into a no. So think about that. I thought that was pretty cool. It really is, though. If you say yes to something, you can change your mind and say no to it, and that leaves you like feeling so bad. But if you are clear that there's something that you don't want to participate in, and you say, no, I'm not feeling that right now, right off the bat, well, that's setting up healthy boundaries. That's taking care of self. I recently read a passage from Living the Science of Mind, one of our favorite books by Ernest Holmes, when he talked about changing our language from I am one with God to I am of God. I am of God. So I took that phrase into meditation because I thought that was really kind of powerful. I want to remember it, but I had time to play with it a little bit, and I am of God. If I am of God, then I live as God. And if I live as God, then I am God's health and wealth, light and love, peace and plenty, creativity and sharing. I am beauty and bounty, intelligence and wisdom, infinite, infinite. All of these things, when we align with the source of good, as these teachings so profoundly tell us over and over again. And then we are right back in being in tune with the infinite, being in tune with the infinite, only deepening a little bit more now, in tune as the infinite. In tune as the infinite. And when we are in tune as the infinite, the flow of plenty is opened and overflowing with God's good in and through and around and as us. Okay. And so my question for you this morning is, how could you radically care for yourself? How could you become incredibly selfish? Using the definitions that we have gone through this morning. How could you open yourself up more and more to this sea of plenty, in which you already live, by the way, by making yourself a more receptive energy, because we are all energy, by making your energy much more receptive. So remembering this guidance from the 28 laws of attraction, becoming selfish, you can get started on a great path to having all that you need. And then building, he writes, a matching reserve. Reserves are a key to becoming irresistibly attractive to the flow of good and supports no strings attached generosity. Now, these are not rhetorical questions this morning. They are real. They are real. And I am desiring you to answer right here and right now. So if you open your bulletins, you'll find a piece of paper in there. Do you all have pens? Raise your hand. The ushers will give you, Fred will give you a pen if you don't have one. David? So, everybody got a pen? So we're going to take a really deep breath, a real belly breath. We're going to open your heart, and just take 3 more of those breaths. Really just breathe and just let your mind rest. And with each breath, open your heart and your mind wider and even wider to the realization that you live right here and right now in a sea of plenty. That you are swimming in an ocean of abundant good. And everything is available to you in every moment. The only thing you must do is to receive it, to open your consciousness to receive more and more of this infinite good. And so in this moment, we are going to create an opening to receive it by identifying at least 3 things that would support you in radically caring for yourself, in being incredibly selfish. Again, using the definition that we had this morning, there are 3 ways. What 3 ways can you lovingly find to give to your mind, your body, and your spirit, your emotions? And so I will have a little quiet, except for the music, as you write down 3 things. Reflect on them. Just let them come from your heart. These are ways to radically care for yourself. And you can take these home and you can come up with more. So once you have identified at least 3 ways in which you could engage in radical self-care, I want you to take this just a little step further. So go back and look at each one and put a date next to it. Today's the 9th, so put a date next to it that you're going to begin this radical self-care, which is loving yourself. Okay, so now I want you to hold the papers up to your heart as I do a prayer for you. The manifestation of each one's radical self-care. As I know that each and every one is worthy of such good, infinite good, the flow of divine abundance in every moment, There's more than enough time, more than enough money, more than enough of all things, because the divine is more than enough. God is more than enough, infinite, opulent, good. That is what we are talking about. This loving presence, this presence of givingness that always gives to that which it creates and gives with such love. God's love is unconditional. God's harmony is perfect. It is always in harmony with itself, balanced with itself. And so I know that to be my truth, and I know it to be the truth of each and every one here. That each one is swimming in this sea of receptivity, is aligned with this unified field of substance, which is God's good. We don't see it because we're in it, but it is all around, through, and it is us, this substance of good. And so I declare that each and every one that has written anything down there to take care of themselves is not only encouraged to do so, but it becomes an actual experience, filling up the reservoir of self-love, filling up till it's overflowing back into God's good and creating that space through which this flow can move in and through each and every one here. I am so grateful to be a part of this morning and this moment, to be swimming in this ocean, this sea of plenty with each and every one here. I am so grateful to know that God truly is the source and supply of all that is, was, and ever shall be. And so in this gratitude then, in this knowing that this infinite love fills each and every one here, I let this word go into that powerful, intelligent law of divine mind, where it is made manifest right here and right now. And so it is.
So it is.